Hello and welcome, everyone. It is so exciting to be in another Talk with the Doc with Dr. Akil Taher. I'm Velan Hawkins. I am working with Dr. Akil, and we're so excited because he's talking about sleep today and the intersection of science and the practicality of getting good sleep, something that we all need to know more about because there's only been recent studies done that qualify and quantify what makes sleep or good sleep. So let me just introduce Dr. Akil really quickly. He's a practicing medical doctor, an author, eternal optimist, explorer, adventurer, and a strong advocate for a whole food, plant-based vegan lifestyle. Many of you know he's a septuagenarian athlete who, after surviving heart bypass surgery, he's been educating thousands to understand this way out of pain and chronic illness and disease. And he really believes that what you eat is the most important pillar of the six pillars of lifestyle medicine, although they all are important, and sleep is one of them. So, without further ado, I'm just going to say hi, Dr. Akil, and thank you for another amazing session today at Talk with the Doc.
Thank you, Lynn. As usual, thank you very much for that very kind and a very generous introduction. All right. So today we are going to talk about sleep, which is extremely important for our physical, mental, and emotional health. Over the last decade or so, there's so much research done on sleep that it has deepened our understanding of sleep and its crucial critical role in our health and our overall well-being. Now, sleep is a key pillar of lifestyle medicine alongside nutrition, exercise, and managing stress. Yet, folks, it is often gets overlooked. What is sleep? Sleep is your superpower. Sleep, if you ask people, the perception of most people is that sleep happens when you're not awake. But sleep is not merely the absence of wakefulness, it is an active state of rest. The brain is very active and has an impact on your learning, your memory, and your immune system. You require about 7 to 9 hours of nightly sleep. 1/3 of the people in the developed nations, including the US, do not get the 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Now, what happens if you are routinely sleeping less than 6 hours a night? It weakens the immune system, increasing your risk to certain types of cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, and as well as some major psychiatric conditions, including depression, anxiety, and suicides. So, the old saying that I will sleep when I am dead is totally untrue. Everybody needs that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So, to understand sleep, let us follow the stages of sleep. It's not complicated. Don't have to remember those names, but bear with me. You have the non sleep has 2 stages. Each stage is different and benefits at different times of night. Your first is your non rapid eye movement sleep called the non REM sleep. And your other one is a rapid eye movement, which is called the REM sleep. Now, the non rapid eye movement sleep has 3 further stages. So think about it. You're going off to sleep, and your onset of sleep is light, transitional. Your brain waves, they start to slow down. Then comes the stage two. This involves deepening of sleep. Your body temperature, your blood pressure, your respiratory rate all goes down. Now comes the third stage, extremely important, often referred to as deep sleep. This is the stage the body repairs tissues, builds bone and muscles, strengthens the immune system. This stage is crucial for feeling fresh in the morning as well as for memory. Then comes your rapid eye movement sleep, REM sleep. This is characterized by rapid eye movement, increases brain activity. This is the stage in which humans principally dream. It is important for learning, it is important for mood regulation, and sometimes to overcome past traumatic events. Now, in the first half of the night, the vast majority of your sleep, 90-minute sleep cycle, is your deep sleep and very little dream sleep. Second half of the night, most of the sleep is dream sleep. So sometimes when you get up in the morning and your eyes are open and you can relate to the dream you just had because you've been in dream sleep. So having to know this is important, that both the sleeps are very important. Now we come to circadian rhythm. What is it? How does your body know when it's time to sleep? Are you getting enough sleep? Why do you suffer from jet lag? Why do some people use melatonin or sleep aids? Why does coffee keep you awake? Let's look at it. Circadian rhythm is your internal 24-hour clock. It is important in regulating when you go to sleep and when you get up. It has got very little to do with daylight or darkness, which was believed previously. Even plants generate their own internal time. The plant, what's it called? Mimosa. It opens and closes its leaves. It was a logical assumption that daylight triggered the opening of the leaves and darkness instructed the leaves to shut up. But this was not true because they did a box experiment and they put the plant in it in complete darkness with a little pinhole, and they found out that it opened and closed exactly at the same time. So therefore, we as human beings, some of us are morning larks and some of us are night owls. Some people wake up earlier in the day and they feel sleepy earlier at night. These are called the morning types, and 40% of them are morning larks. Now, 30% of them prefer to go to bed late and prefer to wake up late in the morning. These are your night owls. And you're predisposed, remember, this is an extremely important statement. You're predisposed genetically to be a morning lark or a night owl. But the sad thing is, society's views are different. Society's work scheduling, which is strongly biased towards early start times. You know the saying, early to bed and early to rise makes you healthy, wealthy, and wise. So what happens? The night owls are called lazy. They punish the night owls, favoring the larks. But remember, folks, night owls are burning the candle at both ends. They have to get up when the morning larks are up. When they're not at their best, they're sleepy. And then when it is time to go home at 5:30, they are in their element, the night owls. But they have to give up. So societal change is needed. And therefore you find Apple and Google and certain others who keep their doors open throughout the night so that people can go in and work. So let's go to the next one. Sleep influences various aspects of your health: learning and memory, aging and dementia, sleep loss and cardiovascular system, immune system, obesity, and diabetes. Let's take the first one. This is learning and memory. We have discovered over the past 10 or 20 years that you need sleep after learning to essentially save those memories so that you don't forget. Everybody knows this. But recently we have discovered that you also need sleep before learning to actually prepare your brain to learn new memories. Two experimental groups, a sleep group and a sleep deprivation group. The sleep group had full 8 hours of sleep. Deprivation group, they were kept awake in a lab, no naps, no caffeine. Next day, they were asked to try and learn. Mind you, not remember. Learn a whole list of new facts. What they found was that there was 40% deficit in the ability of the brain to learn and make new memories without sleep in the sleep deprivation group. Now, had I known this when I was a medical student, it would have helped me a lot because what we did was all-nighters, worked the whole night, but this could have got me in a better place. So, this is number one. Number two is aging and dementia. As we get older, our memory and learning abilities often decline. This is partly because of deep sleep gets worsens. So, this is common in normal aging as well as in dementia or Alzheimer's disease. Now, research shows that if you insert a small amount of electric voltage in the brain, so small you typically don't feel it, in young, healthy adults during the deep sleep, you can increase the quality of their deep sleep. And this leads to double the memory benefit they get from sleep. Now, if we can translate this to older adults and those with dementia and restore back some healthy quality of deep sleep, we might be able to salvage some aspects of learning and memory function. This, folks, is a hope of the future. Coming to sleep loss and cardiovascular system, my favorite. A Japanese study over a 14-year period, sleeping less than 6 hours of sleep was associated with more than 3 times risk of blood pressure, coronary events, or sudden cardiac death. Now, be ready for something that I'm going to tell you. A global experiment performed on 1.5 billion people across 70 countries twice a year, and it is called daylight savings. Now, in spring, we lose 1 hour of sleep, right? It just happened about a week back. And we see subsequent 24% increase in heart attacks the very next day. In the autumn, we gain an hour of sleep, and we see a 21% reduction in heart attacks. Isn't that incredible? And it goes the same with road accidents, car crashes, and even suicide. Immune system, natural killer cell activity that fights cancers can drop by 70% if your sleep is restricted to 4 hours. Short sleep duration associated with breast, colon, and prostate cancer. Sleep deprivation increases the risk of obesity and diabetes. We have two hormones, ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is a hunger hormone. You get hungry and you eat. Leptin helps you to feel full, satisfied, and you stop eating. Sleep deprivation, it is found, increases the concentration of ghrelin and reduces the concentration of leptin so that you keep eating, and it also increases cravings for high fat and high caloric foods. what happens? You get obese, your cortisol levels increases your blood sugar, points towards diabetes. Now, having said that, this was a study done recently in University of Chicago, 2022 study that proves all this about leptin and this ghrelin involved into obesity and diabetes. Okay, folks, here is a midpoint. I'm going to ask you two questions. Are you getting enough sleep? Answer these two simple questions. After getting up in the morning, could you fall back asleep at 10 or 11 a.m.? Number one. Number two, can you function optimally without caffeine before noon? If your answer is yes to the first one and no to the second, that means you are not getting proper quantity and quality of restorative sleep. Insomnia. What is insomnia? Difficulty falling asleep, waking up in the middle of the night, cannot go back to sleep in the middle of the night, getting up very early in the morning, and feeling unrefreshed during the waking day. This is despite allowing oneself the adequate opportunity to get sleep, meaning you rule out external factors before you label somebody insomniac, like bright lights, room temperature, alcohol, uh, symptoms of, say, arthritis, chronic back problems. All this should be ruled out. So, what you're left with, two most common triggers, worry and anxiety, which are psychological. Now, this you're labeling when you have more than 3 nights a week for more than 3 months. 40 million Americans suffer from insomnia and is twice as common in women than in men. Patients with insomnia, lower quality of sleep, shallower sleep, not deep, fragmented dream, REM sleep with brief, irregular awakenings. So, sleeping pills and sleep aids. Doctors should prescribe sleep, not sleep aids. The sleep aid industry, prescription as well as over the counter, is a $30 billion industry. Those prescribed even few pills, which includes like Ambien, can have problems. So, folks, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia before you embark on sleep aids, because you can get dependency and tolerance so that you may require more drugs. You can get withdrawal symptoms that can cause anxiety and insomnia, and drowsiness so that you will have problems operating machinery or driving. Memory, short term memory is gone. Risk of overdose, accidental over poisoning, overdose can be life threatening. Interact with other drugs like muscle relaxants or pain meds that can have a problem, long term health risk, again, dementia, mood changes, mood swings, and it is a respiratory depressant. Now, melatonin, again, a billions of dollar industry. Everybody's popping in melatonin. Melatonin, folks, is a hormone which is produced by the brain. It plays a very important role in the sleep wake cycles, the one which we talked about, the circadian rhythm. Helps to regulate the timing of sleep, but has little influence on the generation of sleep. Therefore, it can help jet lagged individuals or shift workers. Melatonin is released a few hours after dusk and peaks around 4 a.m. Then the levels start falling, undetectable by mid morning. What happened? Jet planes came into play, offered the ability to speed through time zones faster than our internal clock. This caused a biological time lag, which we call as jet lag. Melatonin helps with jet lag by adjusting your body's internal clock. How? Example: If you fly to London from New York in the evening and say reach London at 8 a.m., but it is still your 3 a.m., as London is ahead of us by 5 hours, so you are sleepy and groggy. Now, in London at 10 p.m., your internal clock says it is only 5 p.m., so you're wide awake and you cannot sleep. Take melatonin at that time so that you can trick your brain into thinking that it is nighttime. And if you do that for a while, then you can shift your internal clock if you're staying for a longer period of time in a foreign country. It also helps shift workers, doctors, nurses, airline pilots, stewardesses, and other nighttime workers. Now, beware of over the counter melatonin, not under the FDA control, and they may not contain what they say they do, and they may have contaminants. Okay, here is a pearl I'm going to throw to you. Melatonin rich foods, pistachios, most melatonin rich food. You can eat only two at bedtime, it is good enough. Taking a handful is like taking a high dose of melatonin supplements. Okay, sleep conditioning and sleep hygiene. This is a cognitive behavioral therapy for people who cannot sleep. Please use this before you embark on sleep aids or label yourself as insomniac or go for a sleep study. First of all, stick to a sleep schedule. Go to bed and wake up at the same time each day. Sleeping later on weekends will not make up for sleep loss during the weekdays. Set an alarm, not to wake up, but when to go to sleep. Go to bed only when you are asleep. The analogy is that if you are going to the dining table, you don't wait to get hungry. So why should you be waiting to feel sleepy? Only use the bed for sleep and intimate relations, and don't lie in bed awake. If in 20 minutes you cannot fall asleep, get up, leave the room, come back only if you're sleepy. Exercise 30 minutes a day, but no, not near your sleep time, 3 to 4 hours before, no. Avoid coffee, colas, chocolates containing caffeine. Because remember, the effects can take up to 5 to 7 hours to wear off. Nicotine. Smokers sleep very lightly, often wake up because of nicotine withdrawal. And some people say having a nightcap may help you alcohol, but heavy use robs your REM sleep, that dream sleep. And therefore, you continue with avoid large meals, beverages at night, high fat and sugar meals. Uh, Avoid medicines that delay sleep, especially blood pressure medications or asthma medications. Don't take naps after 3 p.m. Power naps are good, but in the mornings or early afternoon. Relax before bed. Unwind. Read a book. Listen to music. Do meditation. And then you need to get the room temperature to 65 to 66 because your body needs to cool 2 to 3 degrees to initiate sleep. So have a hot shower and then come back into a cool room. That helps. Dark bedroom, cool bedroom, gadget free bedroom. And screen time, exposure to the screens before bed can disrupt the blue light effect and affecting melatonin production. And try to get out in the morning 30 minutes each day. With that, I believe that I am done and I will be very happy. I want to say a few things. We have in the audience uh, Dipti Modi is a highly experienced yoga and meditation instructor. She brings her expertise in mindful movement, meditation, and Ayurvedic principles, offering practical strategies to harmonize the body and mind for restorative sleep. And I am so, so very glad that my dear friend Meryl Fury, the CEO of PBNSD and a podcaster, and will be cooking up something superb in the kitchen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Akil. Meryl is a registered nurse and president and CEO of the Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. It's a nonprofit organization whose mission is simple yet powerful, and that is to combat the rising epidemic of chronic illnesses, especially in children, through the power of whole plant-based nutrition. Meryl actually became a vegan at the age of 15 when she decided that she no longer wanted to participate in the eating of mammals. And she came to realize that giving up all animal products was the healthier option for her, and has since come to understand through her nursing and her master's degree in nursing, and she holding certificates from Villanova, T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies, plant-based nutrition, and from the Roxby Culinary School, Forks Over Knives, and so much more. She's a sought after speaker, and she knows that this is the way to go. The six pillars of lifestyle medicine. She's a member of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and her mission, she says, what gets her up in the morning is knowing that our children need what she brings to the world. And so, thank you, Meryl, for being here with us today. We're so excited about this. And Dr. Keel and I are going to mute our cameras and we'll let you take it away.
Thank you for the invitation, Velin and Dr. Akil. This is just such a pleasure. So, as Velin said, I'm a registered nurse and I've been on my plant based journey. It started when I was 15, where I took mammals out of my diet. And over many years, it took quite a while to get to the point where I don't eat any animal products at all, which is where I am now. And I am forever grateful for that journey and everything I've learned along the way. Dr. Akil wanted me to do a recipe for sleep today. Now, this took a little bit of thinking because as he mentioned in his portion, we don't recommend going to bed on a full stomach. It's best if your stomach's like sort of empty-ish. So maybe eat your last meal something like an hour or two, and some people go longer than that, before going to bed. Going to bed on a full stomach can contribute to reflux and indigestion. And, there's old stories about it can cause nightmares depending upon what it is you're eating, right? So recommending that if what we're going to prepare today, you don't go to bed like with a really full stomach. That probably wouldn't feel good. But today's recipe is oatmeal, of all things. Now, you could have oatmeal for dinner, like many people have breakfast for dinner, or you could have this as your 1 or 2 hour before bed kind of snack. So you can see my food camera here, and I'll just kind of get started. So what we're going to do is a rose and cardamom oatmeal, and all of these ingredients contribute to being sleepy. I will tell you, I made this roast recipe in testing it before this, maybe it was last week. I made this recipe and I was so tired after I ate it. Like about 35, 40 minutes after I ate it, I literally did go take a nap. So I believe it works. It certainly has worked for me. So we're going to start. And Dr. Akil, you did such a great job talking about all the foods that have melatonin in them. I don't need to go into that, but I will highlight the foods we have here in front of us. One of the studies that I looked at showed that tart cherries, either fresh or frozen tart cherries, are good for sleep, if you can find those, not the dried ones though, and not the juice. So what we're going to do first with this, I have some poppy seeds here. I'm going to turn on my pan, which you can't really see over here on this side of the stove maybe. But we're going to heat up this pan and just sort of toast the poppy seeds a little bit. Poppy seeds have just a tiny bit, a not dangerous amount of morphine that still clings to the seeds even after they're harvested from the flowers and processed from the pods. So we're going to utilize that to our benefit. Nothing to be afraid of, I trust. You know, you can trust me on that. So we're getting the pan heated up over here, and we're just going to toast about a half a teaspoon of poppy seeds. While I'm here, I'll just tell you too, some of my favorite cooking utensils, if you're interested. These are cooking spoons that are magnetic. They nest beautifully in the drawer, and they're in different, they have different colors for the markings on them. Very easy to use, and they stay neat and tidy in your drawer. All right, so the pan is getting a little bit hot. I'm going to put in my half teaspoon of poppy seeds. This recipe is to taste. Then the amounts, the quantities, if you don't like poppy seeds, don't put them in. If you don't like something else, don't put it in. If you like way more of something, then I recommend put in to taste, okay?
Oh, that's interesting. You've got a spice drawer and your spices are in containers that are labeled.
Yes, we try. We try. I am a kind of a spice nut. I'm looking for I have everything out except the nutmeg. All right. I'm not going to hunt for the nutmeg. We'll leave that one alone. It's supposed to be a half teaspoon of nutmeg. And what I'm doing here is just toasting the poppy seeds, okay? The nutmeg could also go in at this time, but it's not right here, and I don't want to take too much time to find it. We can also put in whole cardamom pods. Oops. Or these are already out of the pods. These are cardamom seeds. We're going to put in, it calls for 1 to 2 whole cardamom pods, and you would toast those also. But we're just going to put in, looks like a 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom. Now you have to be paying attention because you don't want your seeds to burn. Here they are. Starting to smell fragrant. I love that. We're going to let them toast just a little bit. In the plant milk world, I use oat milk a lot of the time because I have some sensitivities to nuts. So I don't use almond milk. I don't use cashew milk, but I do use oat milk. So we have an organic oat milk. This one has no oil added. It's only organic oats, sea salt and water, I believe. So that's a brand I use frequently. Smelling good. All right. I'm going to pull that off the heat and just let that cool a minute and put it right there on my countertop. This countertop is made out of soapstone, and that draws heat out of the pot. My point here is that I want the oats to go into a cooled pan so that they have a long enough time to cook. These are regular oats. They're a 5-minute oats. And I just added the oat milk right there. I hope you can see that. So I just added the oat milk.
What was that, about a half a cup?
I put in about, the recipe calls for for 1 cup. Now, I will be honest, the recipe says what it says, right? I personally cook by eye and by smell, right? So that was it's about a cup.
Do any kind of oats work?
I would recommend at least the regular oats, not the quick cooking. They've been highly processed, the quick cooking. And I would not use instant at all because those tend to have artificial flavors and sugars added and things like that. So for this recipe, I'd say the 5-minute, the regular rolled oats. You could also use steel cut oats, but that would greatly lengthen your cooking time. Okay, so now I'm going to put the oats in. This is about 1/3 cup. And at the same time, I have some medjool dates here that I've soaked already. The dates are for sweetness. These are 2 medjool dates. Now, I don't like things to be very sweet. So I'm only gonna, the recipe calls for 1 to 3. And I'm gonna put in something probably closer to 1.5. Because I just don't like things that sweet like that. So just so you can see what's going on here, that's how it's looking.
Meryl, why do you soak the dates in water?
Just in water, yes.
Why do you soak them? Could you not?
That's such a great question. I know you know the answer.
Mhm.
We soak them because sometimes, there's a couple reasons actually. Sometimes the dates that we get here in the United States are not quite so fresh. You know, they can be very hard and very dry. So we soak them just to soften them. That's the primary reason. You could go a step further after you soak them and puree them and make them into a date paste. And that would be another form of sweetener that you could use.
Do you chop the dates or do you just put them in whole after you soak them?
Yes and yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you. I don't mean to be interrupting. I'm just,
No, please jump in and ask
I'm
any
just
question.
excited about
Yes,
finding something.
Absolutely. Jump in and ask questions at any time. I love it. So yeah, like I said, I have like a little joke I tell myself. I follow recipes to a point. And you have to go also looking at the quality of the ingredients that you have, the freshness of the ingredients that you have. Dates, let's go with that as an example. Like I said, sometimes they are harder and drier, and sometimes they're soft and squishy and they almost feel juicy. So you have to go by what your ingredients are offering you to work with in a way. So you can chop the dates and do it that way. Definitely get the pits out if they're not pitted. Take the pits out. And then when you make a date paste, you're going to puree the dates after you soak them for a few hours. Okay, so our oatmeal is bubbling now. All right. Next, I am going to add a couple pinches of saffron. Saffron is one of the world's most expensive spices.
And what's the big benefit around saffron?
I am not sure. It does make food a beautiful yellow color, and it's called the stamen or the pistils inside crocuses. It's a part of a flower, is what I understand.
Mm.
Saffron is a spice that spices up your life.
Yes, it's beautiful. You know what would be great? Anybody in the room here, if you could Google medicinal benefits of saffron, see if there are any that we know of. There probably are some somewhere along the line. All right, we're going to put in now some hemp seeds. Just like a 1/4 teaspoon, and I'm really just going to take a pinch and throw them in there. Turn
Yeah,
down the flame.
he's cooking. I don't know what the hell this is.
This is oatmeal for you to go to sleep by. All right. You could also throw in some other seeds. Seeds tend to have those sleep-inducing qualities. This time, we're just going to use them to decorate the dish. So we're done now. It's cooked, right? I'm going to put it in this bowl. Hopefully you can see me, see what I'm doing here.
Mhm.
Some other spices, which I haven't included here in this recipe, that were seeds that help with sleep. Fennel is one. Like Dr. Akil said, saffron. And no, you said pistachios. Pistachios and saffron and roses frequently go together. So we're going to put just a couple of almonds. Almonds are also known for helping sleep. Goji berries are another sleep inducer. So just a couple goji berries. I'm not a really big fan of the flavor of goji berries myself, but they are considered a superfood. We're using them medicinally this time. And we're going to put in some dried rose petals, just because we can, not like we have to. But it makes things pretty. Now, Dr. Akil was talking about the importance of sleep and how most of us don't get enough sleep. This is true of children too. Our children are terribly sleep deprived, horribly. They go to bed late. They're spending a lot of time on their tablets and their, cell phones. And it's really detrimental to them as well. So if you could encourage your little people who are around you, your teenage people, your young adult people, to get more sleep, their world would probably be a better place. Right now, I just poured out some rose water, which I'm just going to kind of splash here around the edge. And that just ups the rose essence. And I would also encourage you, if you're going to eat this as an evening snack sometime before bed, our mental state is so important. And particularly, if you're an anxious person or you've got issues, things you're worried about, you're ruminating on, if when you're cooking, you can try really hard to focus, be present with what you're doing, intentional about your cooking and your stirring and how you add the ingredients. And if you can, at the same time as bring your presence to it, bring whatever inspiring emotion or way of being that you can. So if you want to bring joy, bring joy. If you want to bring gratitude, bring gratitude. If you want to bring inspiration or levity, bring something intentional to the meal so that when you're eating it, or when you're cooking it, those thoughts are going into the preparation. And then when you're ready to eat it, you're also focused in that way on what you're getting from this experience of eating the food, right? So that is our dish. I'm already starting to stir it. That's how that looks.
So do you eat the rose petals?
You can. You
Okay.
can. You totally can. So one of the things I love, thank you for asking that question. The rose petals, in this case, they're dried, right? So fibrous, to be honest.
Okay.
So I wouldn't try munching through, like I have a whole rosebud in here like that. I probably wouldn't try munching through a whole rosebud, but you can definitely eat the rose petals and they just add fiber. Here, I'll give you a taste, hey? Very, very lovely. Let's say you didn't add enough dates for your taste, you could sweeten it with maple syrup. That's what this is. Just a little. Or agave, if you like that. And that's really it. You will definitely, the seeds are whole, so you have whole cardamom seeds and whole poppy seeds, so you'll feel them. They're a little bit crunchy. And then you have the almonds and other textures. Right? So there you go. That's it. I would definitely 1 to 2 hours before bed, not or maybe half hour at the minimum. One other thing I did want to share with you, kiwi fruit has also been studied for sleep. They say 2 kiwi before bed at night can help with bringing on sleep and having a restful, restorative sleep. There you go. There's 2 kiwi, or 1 kiwi anyway. Ta-da.
Can you make the oatmeal like bulk cooking, like do it for a week or no?
Sure. Yeah, I didn't try it that way, but oatmeal is very forgiving.
Okay.
Super forgiving. I would venture to say you could even do it like overnight oats, maybe, so that you put the oat milk in a mason jar and you add the oats and you add your seeds and your fruit if you're putting goji berries. And yeah, you could do that, definitely.
Yeah, just word of caution over here regarding saffron. Be careful because there's a lot of imitation saffron on the market.
Yeah.
You got to go and get authentic saffron. I got some from Turkey. So, and then too, I'm still not 100% sure.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
the world is
I
full
have
of imposters, sadly.
I have one question. So when you soak the oats, you don't need to cook it. So you can soak it overnight and you just eat that, or you still have to cook it.
No, you can soak them overnight. That is such a great question, and thank you for asking that. So there's a whole thing. You can Google overnight oats, and you will find about a bazillion recipes for oats where people literally here take a mason jar like that, add, and they'll give you the ratios in the recipes, right? You add some oat milk maybe, or whatever your favorite flavor is. You add some oats. You can add hemp seeds. You can add flax seeds. You can add chocolate. You can add bananas, strawberries, vanilla, whatever your favorite combo is. And some stuff you wouldn't have ever guessed. So I encourage you to go look at recipes online. People are very creative. You put the lid on once you have it all in there, put it in the refrigerator overnight. And then it's ready for you to go in the morning. You can use a smaller jar, like here's a smaller jar. This is one of your tinier ball jars, right? You could use a jar like that and it's ready to go, just like that. You know, one other thing I wanted to bring up, I'm just remembering as I picked up that jar, there are certain herbs that are very good for calming and sleep. So one of them is this one. This is chamomile, well recognized for centuries. Oh my gosh, thousands of years for calming. In fact, so I was a public health nurse for a long time, and still am, I guess. And my clients, many of them came from Mexico and Central America, and they would use chamomile flowers for their baby to help calm them and for upset stomach. Another one is this one, which is hibiscus flowers, just the petals from hibiscus leaves, also called flor de Jamaica in Spanish. And these you can just brew up, or, you know, put them in a tea infuser, pour water over them, boiling water, and drink those. They're both very calming. Any other questions? I'm happy to.
And the oats that you're recommending for sleep, you would eat those before bedtime, 1 to 2 hours, you mentioned?
Yeah, not closer than a half hour. What do you
Okay.
think, Dr. Akil? It's just so much to have a lot on your stomach when you go to bed.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you should be eating your meal. Ideally, you should eat your meal when the sun sets
Mm.
at 5:30 to 6 p.m. or what time you have. But that is not possible for working people. So I understand. But at least 2 hours before you lie down, at least,
Yeah,
because
I
you're
agree.
bound to get a problem with your esophageal sphincters and it'll come up and you will get acid and other problems. So I
Yeah.
think that is a must. And I learned quite a lot about this overnight soaking, because I always thought that you had to boil and boil the oats till they got mushy and soft. But hey, this is great.
Yeah, no, it's a way to save time for those of us who are busy in the mornings and you just want a breakfast that's ready to go. You eat it cold, or you can take the time to heat it up. You can put it in the microwave, or on top of the stove, heat it up, and it works very well.
Well, so this is a great place for us to say thank you and to open things up for real questions and answers, because this prompts so many other things. So if you want to take yourself off of mute, your camera off of mute, we'll bring everybody back into the room and really look at some of these things that are promoting sleep. Um, Love that. You talked about going to um, or where you get your herbs and spices from. Does anyone have a special place? I know that there are a lot of farmers markets where you can get fresh herbs and good spices. But I think that, you know, if there are specialty stores, Dr. Akil, you mentioned, um, I don't remember, was it Pete's or something like that? That's a specialty store that you can get certain herbs and spices that you can't get in a regular grocery store. Where are some of those places? And if anybody else has a recommendation there, let us know.
Yeah, most of the time,
Um,
go to places like Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and look at the ingredients, watch what they have, and then you should be okay. But spices, there is a store, I don't remember the name in New York, and I was there. It has got practically every spice under the sun. Huge, huge. And but I don't get the name right now.
And
So
I know that Thrive Market is an online store that actually packages close to fresh and distributes herbs, spices, and other organic as well as vegan ingredients for everything. I mean, Thrive Market has really moved into the marketplace because of the fact that they're all online.
you're,
And so if you're looking for something like that, that's a good one. Plus their prices are really good.
what is it? Thrive Market?
Thrive Market.
If anybody has any questions about sleep and all that, go ahead, shoot.
I have a question, Akil. Um, if you know someone who could benefit from cognitive behavior therapy for insomnia, where would you might suggest they would, how would they get that connection?
What I talked about, and my this thing will be on YouTube, the 14, 15 points of cognitive therapy that I talked about, behavioral therapy, they should just watch each one and see if they're doing that. And that should be it. Otherwise, you may have to go to a counselor, psychotherapist, and people like that they can help you. But I think when you take away a few things, like your set time to sleep, set time to get up, not sleeping late on the weekend, not staying longer than 20 minutes in bed. If you're not sleepy, get out of the room and do things and not have any TV. I do have a TV in my bedroom long time before I learned all this. So I don't switch on the TV anymore. And I make it a point that when I enter the room is dark as much as possible. And then at the temperature, I bring it down to 65, 66 degrees, have a hot shower, and then it immediately the temperature goes down and you start feeling sleepy. And now I got those glasses that can prevent white lights. So even when I'm outside the bedroom, I'm reading, I prepare myself putting on those. Because I used to sleep about 5 hours. Now I've increased and I'm getting better due to the cognitive behavior therapy.
And are those are on your website, Dr. Akil?
Yeah, if you this particular episode that we are doing right now will be on the website very soon, or on the YouTube.
Okay, great.
And I'll put the YouTube channel in the chat. But I know that many of us have heard about the sleep masks. I think Dr. Akil's talking about the glasses, but you know, your sleep mask is something that's important. And for us who are looking at, you know, a sleep mask being the kind of material that actually promotes um, eye health and the skin around your eyes. There are sleep masks that are specifically designed for that. But you want to get something that really has the ability to let your eyeballs move. When he was talking about your REM sleep, your eyeballs and your eyelids need to move. So you don't want one that's just a flat surface. You want one that has the ability for your eyeballs to have that room to move. But these are so important. You know, I used to see people with their sleep masks and stuff and not really understand what the benefit was. And with the science that's coming out today, a lot of which is coming out of the University of Chicago and the sleep unit, there's 3 doctors there that have done some studies that actually have proven that sleep deprivation, like Dr. Akil was saying, leads to pre-diabetes, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and a lot of the studies that are being done now are really bringing to light some of the issues that we're suffering with. Those who are eating fast food and even vegan junk food, wondering why they don't get good sleep. It's because of what we eat. It's because of the lack of exercise, the lack of managing our stress levels. And so all of these things are critical.
See, another thing
And
is that when you have the dream sleep that I talked about, the REM sleep, now, even in the REM sleep, at times when you get beautiful dreams, get up, you get dreams beautiful, and you get up refreshed. But sometimes the REM sleep can be fractured. You get up and you have got a dream which is not very good. Then you go back to sleep. Again, you have a dream. Again, you get up. So that is a fractured sleep, the fractured dream sleep. So it is not only the quantity of sleep, it is a quality of sleep that is important for restorative sleep. And the deep
uh,
sleep that I talked about, the non-rapid eye movement sleep, that sleep in the third stage that I talked about is so important because that is the time it starts building up your immunity, building up your bones, your muscles, prevents you from all that. Your blood pressure goes down, your heart rate goes down. That is essential. Now, a lot of people don't get the deep sleep in the first 90 minutes or so of your sleep.
you're saying that the deep sleep time is where the body actually goes into
Repair mode.
regeneration and healing.
Dr.
And what
Akil,
I
could
found
you
out,
tell us a little bit about the impact of sleep apnea? Just a little bit.
oh, you see, sleep apnea is a totally different subject, totally. Now, sleep apnea can be due to central or it can be local. So if you've got a local sleep apnea in the throat and all that, then that can be taken care with certain processes, certain surgery, all that. But you have to distinguish between this. And number one. Number two, the second one is a central sleep apnea. There you require a sleep study. And sleep apnea
Mm.
is the finding, the sleep apnea person will never come and tell you that, doctor, do I have sleep apnea? Most of the times, the wife or the spouse or the partner will come and tell you
Ah.
that he or she is snoring. And I get so scared, she or he suddenly stops breathing and then starts with a burst. So these are the problems when your blood pressure, all that things can increase, your heart disease, all that can increase with sleep apnea. And major fact is obesity.
I asked that.
Even if you got central apnea, it super adds if you are obese so that you have difficulty breathing. Where your tongue goes back, you stop breathing, and then you suddenly have a deep breath. So sleep apnea is totally. I was thinking of doing a whole sleep apnea, but that's on a different day.
So if sleep apnea is the issue and you happen to be obese or overweight, you lose the weight, will it go away?
Yes, if it is due to the local causes, very rarely if it is central sleep apnea, you will have to get sleep studies done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, we are a little bit past our time. If anyone has any additional questions for either Dr. Akil or Meryl, um, speak now or not forever hold your peace. But when the video gets released, you'll be able to comment on YouTube and tag Dr. Akil, tag Meryl, and we'll know that because of the tag, the notification will come through. We'll see your comment and we'll be able to respond because this is an important issue that for adults, getting it under control is one thing, but recognizing what it is for us, the same thing applies to our children. And our children need us to not only advocate for them, but to watch out for them. So pass the information along. Thank you for being here today. If there are no other questions, then come
I
on,
just have a
Taylor.
comment.
Sure, we are waiting for Francine.
Yeah, I tried feverishly to get on and couldn't get on, so just probably well past your presentation, Dr. Akil, and hopefully I'll be able to access that when it gets available. But I just wanted to say there's a lot of great spices, loose leaf teas at your DeKalb farmers market. I suspect other farmers markets they have hibiscus. You can buy it in bulk containers, and I usually for turmeric I just use the rhizome, the little thing that looks like a ginger, and I slice that into food. I don't use the powder very often. If I'm in a rush, I'll use the powder, but I tend to prefer the rhizome. But I appreciate all the comments the young lady was presenting about eating oats. I do eat oats first thing in the morning, and I usually don't do overnight. I just do them the night before. I boil them on the stove for 10 minutes. I've been doing it for decades. So I've read about overnight oats, but I prefer this process, and I just add berries and different things to it. But I appreciate the information about the spices and stuff. I don't use saffron, and I probably ought to go check the farmer's market, see if they have it. They may very well have it there.
I
So
have a
appreciate
question,
it.
Francine. When
Yeah.
you talk about the turmeric, this thing, is this the turmeric root?
I've only described it referred to as the rhizome. When you buy ginger, it
Yeah,
looks like an
similarly.
antler.
Yeah, I got
Well,
it.
the turmeric that I buy looks like an antler, just like ginger, only it's an
Yes.
orange.
It's a root, and I use
Oh, is
that.
it a root? Okay, well, whatever it is.
I use it in my morning juice, but I do not use turmeric powder. I use that root. A
Yeah,
little.
I like the root. I prefer it. Only in a pinch, or if I'm traveling, do I take the powder. I don't typically use that. But it's the root then. I was told it was called a rhizome, but what do I know? It
It's
works.
just
That's all I know. I put it in stuff and
You're right. I'm just.
yeah.
Yeah.
The name rhizome is just an indication of like what kind of root it is. So you have tubers and you have bulbs and you have rhizomes and you have, like thready kind of roots,
okay. All right. So it is basically the root is what they sell in the stores, which is what I use. And I
Ginger.
just grate a little bit on my food. I don't use it on oatmeal, but I use it on beans and different foods that I cook and prepare to eat. So, and I use a lot of ginger, and I also use a lot of garlic, which is because I have high blood pressure and high cholesterol. So I do those things.
Thank you, Francine. That was great info to bring in. Dipti, thank you for being here with us today. It was a pleasure having you.
Pleasure was mine. Wonderful information. Yeah, and just want to add to Doctor's Akil's presentation that meditation also helps sleeping.
Of course.
Oh, yeah. May I just
Yes.
add one more comment about that? I feel like what's helped me most is having a regular spiritual path. I do something twice a day called my PMWs, prayer meditation walks. I walk and I pray. I have a gratitude list. I pray for people on my prayer list that are in the hospital or whatever, and I just stay in touch. I think it's a big help. I agree with that very much, and I think it doesn't matter what your faith path is. I think there's only one truth spoken in many different ways, but pick a path and follow it, and I think you will find a lot of serenity in that. I agree with that.
That's so true.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Linda, Nafisa, Mary, Meryl, thank you for your contribution to today's presentation.
My pleasure.
And Dr. Akil, as always, thank you so much for all of your wisdom and knowledge that you share with us, and it's so appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste, doctor, and everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste.
All right, we'll see everybody next month. You'll see the emails with the dates, and I don't remember what the April topic is offhand, so keep an
Do you
eye
know
out
the
for your
date?
emails. Say
Do you,
again,
do you happen
Francine?
to know the date for next time?
April, let me just look real quick.
I'll put it on my calendar now.
April 25th.
25th. Okay. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
All right, thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks,
Namaste once
everybody.
again. Good night.
We'll
Good day.
see you soon.